Ever wondered what's inside of a Lingoda English class? Well, today I'm going to share the basic structure of the class so that you're prepared as a student or as a teacher. I'm Kristin. I received this question in my comments on another video.
And it says, "Hi Kristin, thanks for the very helpful video. I'm planning on applying to Lingoda's platform to become a French teacher. I have a few questions after your video. You said that teaching materials were already prepared for the lesson. Does that mean the whole lesson is already planned, or you only have access to the materials?"
And thought the outline of a class would be helpful information to students and teachers. If you find information like this helpful, please hit the subscribe button, like, and share with anyone who might get value from this video. So let's get started. Lingoda offers classes in German, Spanish, French, English, and Business English. Today, I'm going to use Business English examples, and I am an English teacher for Lingoda. Now, classes are broken down into 6 different kinds of categories or skills. These skills are reading, grammar, speaking, writing, vocabulary, and communication. Which one's your favorite? Most vocabulary classes are covered more in depth at the beginner levels of the language, but there's definitely vocabulary added in each level, just not as in depth as at the starter levels. The majority of classes are communication classes, which we all know is the main goal of a language. Once you can communicate with other people, then all of these other skills, they come into play and you can fine-tune your skills one at a time. The class starts with the PDF presentation on the screen, and I do a brief introductory roll call. I introduce myself to the students, tell them where I'm from, and then I ask them where they're from. Knowing their native language or their country of origin definitely helps me as a teacher. It makes it easier for me to understand any potential pronunciation issues that might be connected to their specific language when learning English. Now, all teachers are different, and Lingoda does not have a step-by-step process that you must follow when you teach classes. I can only share what I do in my classes. And I also want to state that I will not be sharing the full page from the Lingoda lessons because that is proprietary material to Lingoda, but I will be sharing enough so you will get the idea of what the class structure is like and what some of the exercises are like inside of the classes. Let's start at the beginning. The goals. The goals are listed at the very beginning of the lesson, and I always read them out loud. It lets the students know the class expectations and maybe even whether they're in the right class. It will tell them what is expected of them by the end of this class. For example, in a communication class about negotiating skills, the goals might be stated as students will be able to negotiate using simple terms by the end of this class. Next, we come to the warm-up or the preview section. This is the part of the lesson that gets the students a little relaxed, gets them in learning mode and being prepared for what's coming in the class. It allows them to speak a little, to break the ice and feel more relaxed with the other students and myself. And it also gets them thinking about what is coming. The warm-up can vary from class to class. It could be just a short reading with some of the vocabulary from the class. It could be a thought question or just a statement using some vocabulary and phrases from the upcoming lesson. Do you think it's important to have a warm-up section in your class? Do you think it's helpful to the students? And students, do you find it helpful? Please let me know. Now, once you get into the main part of the lesson, it will be very different depending on which type of class you're taking. Writing classes will, of course, expect you to write, and in a Zoom class, we would use the chat box. This can be writing anything from a simple email or postcard all the way up to a formal complaint. Reading classes obviously have passages or excerpts for you to read, and I usually have the students read these out loud. There are usually sections included that have lots of vocabulary, comprehension questions, and sometimes deeper thought-provoking questions. Speaking classes give you plenty of opportunity to speak, just like the name of the class says. You'll find in this kind of section conversations between the students, which is my favorite, or if it's a smaller class or private class, just with myself as the teacher. There'll be role-playing activities and lots of usage of the new language to make sure that you really understand it. Vocabulary classes focus on vocabulary, learning words and phrases, and making sure that the pronunciation is clear and easy to understand. There can also sometimes be spelling and writing included in a vocabulary class, but normally speaking and making sure that it sounds spot on. Grammar classes obviously focus on grammar, but it's not all memorization. We will use the grammar, learn the language point, and practice it in as many different ways as we possibly can in a 1-hour class. Most Lingoda classes are actually categorized as communication classes because that is the base of all language learning. You need to be able to communicate in the language, and then you can learn the other things to improve it. The main goal of communication classes is to get you speaking, interacting, thinking, and perhaps doing some role play with other students using the skills that we've learned in that specific class. Now, one challenge many teachers face is the fact that there is 1 hour to complete this class, and the student group sizes can range from 1 in a private class and then up to 5 in a group class. But sometimes group classes are just 1 or 2. You don't want to rush through the material. You definitely want to cover it and make sure that you've covered whatever the goal or language point is for that lesson. And oftentimes you don't finish a class. So what do you do when you find out that you're running short on time? You don't want to rush your students, and it is not mandatory to get to the end of the class. You must judge each class based on the skill, language level, and the overall interaction of your students in that class. Learning to manage your time effectively is a major skill for an online teacher or for any teacher. On the one hand, if you find that time is running short and you think you're not going to make it to the end of the class, it's perfectly okay for you to skip certain pages in the lesson and to make sure you cover what you consider to be the most important parts. On the other hand, if the class has a high level, then you may find that you go through the material too fast and there's too much time left at the end of the material. You're done and there's 20 minutes left. Now what do we do? I have gotten creative by making up additional questions, having some free conversation connected to the topic of the class. I've also downloaded YouTube videos. I've gone on to Google Maps, or I've just gone on the internet to find something connected to the class so that I can add to it. You need to learn to think on your feet. Be creative. You fill the time or you adjust your time accordingly. You just do the best you can. Although Lingoda does have a structure for the classes and the presentation that they give you, it's all loosely held together by you, the teacher. You're directing the students. If students have more questions and they want to spend more time on a certain area that they find difficult, that's what you do. If they don't, then you can move on. As long as you're getting positive results, then feel free to remove parts, add things, and make the class as fantastic as you can for your students. If you're interested in learning more about Lingoda classes, then watch my series about them here. The link is also in the description box below. Ask any questions you want in the comments. I answer all of them, and maybe I'll answer it in a video just like this one. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and a thumbs up. Subscribe for more videos like this, and please become a part of our community. Never stop learning. Have a great week.